Hi, it's Sandra Alexander from MyHana. I'm a mom of a young man with autism and also a speech therapist who have worked in the field with people with autism. So today we're going to discuss legal and civil rights, and so will we know what to do and how to help protect our loved ones and teach them how to protect ourselves. So let's dive on in. So we're going to be discussing legal rights for people who are under 18 and over 18 and a little bit about guardianship today. Now, for under 18 years of age, the rights include the right to an education, protections against discrimination, access to programs and not to be denied because of a disability, and citizen rights. And these are rights that are protected, of course, for everyone who is a citizen in the United States. Now, over 18 years of age, you have the right to make decisions for yourself and have full control of your decision making and being responsible for your own actions. You have the right to be sued as an individual who's responsible for those actions that you make. The right to have access to programs and eligibility based on a person's individual income and qualifications, and the right of independence, and the right to not be controlled by another person unless the court orders it. So if somebody's taking advantage of your loved one and it's not legally mandated, you need to step in and put a stop to that. So, which is a whole other issue, but there are ways to do that. Now, guardianship, and there's guardianships to individuals. So what happens when parents or caretakers think that you have a person, let's say they get to be 18, but they can't make their own decisions in a responsible way? You can go for legal guardianship and support the individual to make correct decisions. So you don't want to just throw them out there if they're not prepared. And we feel like that about all our loved ones, whether they're neurotypical or not. We have civil rights protections. An individual with autism or any other disability, which is defined in the DSM, which is the diagnostic manual that psychologists use, they're protected under federal and state law. So if somebody's being discriminated against, it's against the law. Um, and so an individual with autism or another disability in that is also protected with respect to employment, housing, and discrimination. But now getting to reality, is that really what's happening? Let's find out. So the realities are, and you probably are aware of some of this already, there's a history of employment related issues with adults with autism. A lot of them are impoverished, and there are numerous incidents of housing discrimination. Unfortunately, 80% or higher of adults with autism are underemployed or unemployed. They may be working at a job that's less than what they're capable of doing. That's what we mean by underemployed. There are laws in place that allows various companies, sheltered workshops, et cetera, to pay a person with a disability sub minimum wage for work. And that could be places that have adult daycares or almost volunteer wage programs from some organizations. So you need to be aware of what this person's earning, and they may legally be able to say, oh, we're going to pay you $5 an hour, which, as we know, is below minimum wage. 80% of adults with autism live on an income that is below the poverty line, and this is really sad, and we need to do something about it. Um, and there are numerous incidents of housing discrimination and on and on. So we need to perk up our ears and see what we can do and fight for our rights here for our loved ones and teach them to fight for themselves. So what to do if a person is denied their rights, seek professional assistance and following up, which is important. Now, most states and federal governments have various commissions and departments that examine if a person was discriminated with. Now, this is mostly in the employment realm. These are agencies that have disability in their name and then the state name, like the Texas, for example, I'm in Texas, Texas Disability Commission, something like that. And you can look them up on the internet. There are agencies, these agencies are funded to help assure individuals are not denied opportunity because of the disability. An individual can also seek legal recourse if they were discriminated against. So you want to try to work the situation out first with the person on your own if you can, and then start seeking outside help if you're not getting anywhere. Now, thinking about, let's say you're trying to get a job, should a disability be disclosed? And that's going to be an individual decision and also situationally dictated. And sometimes it still might not be the right decision, but you have to think first. So it should be disclosed, I feel, if you think it's going to help get you a job that's suited to yourself or the right kind of supervision, that kind of thing. If the person thinks it's important to tell the person who might be hiring them, or if they're trying to get a benefit, sure, you better disclose it. In most cases, defining one's disability will lead to an understanding with a boss or somebody and help you get the accommodations needed. And you certainly can't seek help if you don't tell somebody you need it and why. So if you don't disclose and the person doesn't treat you, let's say, right, are they actually discriminating even if they're being kind of mean and nasty? They need to know what they're dealing with too. Now, if it's a decision also, if the person doesn't want others to know about his disability because he thinks he doesn't want to be treated differently by his peers and might harms his chances in getting what he needs. And self-advocacy, which we have discussed in another webinar, and I hope you go and watch that as well. Who can be a self-advocate and why is that important? This is discussed a little further in the other webinar that I did. But a self-advocate should be properly trained to support and represent themselves or a qualified individual who can't or has been denied an opportunity because of the disability. So try to teach your loved one how to advocate for himself as best as you can and get help to do that through the various agencies that have programs. My HANA will be certainly able to help with this as well. Teach them how to address these incidences of when they're denied. In other words, try not to take no for an answer the first time. Follow up, ask again, ask somebody different in an organization. All of these are things you can do to try to get your needs met. So don't give up right away, especially if you deserve something that's being denied. And we'll be talking more on this further through my HANA. Thank you for coming to this webinar. I'm Sandra Alexander, mom of somebody on the spectrum who's 18 and a speech therapist. Have a good day.